OpenAI recently released the Agents SDK, allowing you to build multi-agents in Python. To create an agent, there are a few components to use. You specify an LLM and equip it with instructions and tools to find real-time information and provide accurate results. You also implement handoffs in order to delegate tasks from one individual agent to another agent in a multi-agent workflow. There is also guardrails, allowing you to validate input and output. Implementing guardrails for input and output helps to prevent unwanted results. So in my previous video, I showed you how to create a basic agent using the OpenAI's Agents SDK. To get started, you should install it with pip command and make this import. You import agent from agents as well as the runner class. Then you create a new agent with the agent class and specify the name of the agent and the instruction it has to use. For a basic agent, we only need two parameters, the name of the agent and instructions. There are also other parameters we can add, like handoff. We can specify the model we want to use, model settings, in order to set, for example, parameters like temperature. We can give the model an external tool. We can implement input and output guardrails. We can also specify the output type in order to implement structured outputs and more. Let's modify the prompt to write a simple SwiftUI animation that moves a rectangle from point A to B repeatedly. Over here, we can print the final output in the command line, but the purpose of this video is to show you how to create your own UI to interact with the AI agent created with the OpenAI's Agents SDK. To build UIs for your OpenAI agents, there are three tools you can use. One is Chainlit. This is a Python framework allowing you to build UIs for AI applications. Over here, you have noticed this is a Python package, so you can install it with pip command. Another UI creation tool is Gradio. With Gradio, you can build beautiful UIs for your AI applications and agentic workflows. Another Python framework you can use to build UIs for your AI applications is Streamlit. So with the basic agent I showed previously with the OpenAI Agents SDK, I will show you how to use Streamlit, Gradio, and Chainlit to demonstrate different UIs for the same basic example. First, let's run firstagent.py in the command line by bringing the integrated terminal. So I will run the file with Python tray and followed by the file name. So by printing the final output, you have noticed here we have response to the prompt. So we have the generated SwiftUI code that moves a rectangle from one point on the screen to another point repeatedly. Over here, we have explanation to the generated code in the command line. Before we create the UIs, I'll clear everything here and minimize the terminal. To start with Chainlit, you can go to their documentation and go to the installation section. You have noticed here you can install it with pip command, that is pip install Chainlit. With the same command, you can install Gradio and Chainlit as well. By visiting each of the UI frameworks websites, you will see examples of how to create UIs for your AI applications. However, in this example, I want to show you how to generate the UI for each of the frameworks by using Cloud 3.7 Sonnet in Cursor. So in Cursor, to bring the AI chat window, you should press Command and L. That will show this window on the right side of the screen. Over here, I copied this same code for the basic example in the file firstagent.py into this file chainlit-agent-ui.py and use Cloud 3.7 Sonnet to generate the Chainlit code. So you have noticed here, I modify the code in chainlit-agent-ui.py to create a Chainlit app. Then I reference the Chainlit documentation. To reference the documentation in Cursor, you should bring the @ sign and select the option Docs. Then you scroll down and add a new doc. So if I go to Cursor settings and scroll down, you have noticed here I have the Chainlit documentation. I also added the OpenAI Agents SDK, the Gradio documentation, and Streamlit documentation as well. So this simple prompt I added here modified this code to create a Chainlit UI for the agent. Over here, you have noticed the module stated, I will modify your code to create a Chainlit app that works with your agent. So it generated this code, and here it gave an explanation about the code and how to run it with Chainlit. If I scroll down, there was still an error. So I added another prompt, then it fixed the error by generating another version of the code. Over here, it stated the main changes to the code. So let's go to the generated code and run it. So to create the Chainlit app, as I told you before, you need to install it with pip command and make all these imports. So you import Chainlit as CL and import agent and runner from the OpenAI Agents SDK. You have noticed here the agent's initialization didn't change at all. Then it used the CL on message decorator to define a function on message that triggers when a user sends a message. We process the message with this code block and define another decorator, CL on chat start. The onChat function runs anytime a new chat begins. So as you saw in the generated code, we can run the Chainlit app with this command, chainlit run followed by the file name. So I'll copy that and navigate to the directory containing it. So we can paste the command here and press the return key to run it. That was successful. So we have a link to open the Chainlit app in the browser. I'll press command and click the localhost. So that launches our Chainlit UI. We can add the same prompt here. I'll go back to the code and copy the prompt from the basic example. Then we go back to the Chainlit interface and paste it here and run it. That shows our generated code through the Chainlit interface with an explanation. This is how to create a basic UI for your OpenAI agents using Chainlit. Let's go back to the code. I want to show you the other examples by going to the Gradio one. So with the same procedure I used for generating the code for the Chainlit example, I generated another code using Gradio. So first, you should install Gradio with pip install Gradio. Then in Cursor, you can use any of the thinking models like GPT 4.5 to generate the code using a Gradio UI to run the OpenAI agent. Over here, you have noticed it added these imports. However, the initialization of the agent still remains the same. We add an async processing function and use the runner class and the run method to run the agent. We set a wrapper function, and over here we define the Gradio interface using blocks. Using Gradio blocks, you can divide the UI into various sections. So in this example, we divide the UI into two sections. The one on the left takes the user input, and on the right, we display the output of the prompt. Next, we add a submit button for submitting the user input and processing the output. So to run the Gradio file, in the Gradio directory, we can run the file gradioagentui.py with Python 3. You have noticed here that was also successful. So let's copy the link to the localhost and view it in the browser. I will paste it here and press the return key. That shows our Gradio UI. Let's copy the same prompt like the previous example. So I'll paste it here and submit it. You have noticed from the right side column that shows our generated code, similar to the previous example with explanations. So this is how you can use Gradio to build UIs for your OpenAI agents. Let's go to the last example, using Streamlit to build the UI for the agent. Similar to the previous UI frameworks, Gradio and Chainlit, we install Streamlit with this command, pip install Streamlit. Then we add the necessary imports. We import Streamlit, agent and runner from the OpenAI Agents SDK. The lines you see here set the title and the description of the web page. Then we initialize the agent in the same way as the previous examples by specifying the name of the agent and the instructions. Then we create a Streamlit text area with a hard-coded prompt. Next, we add a button to process the user prompt. And lastly, write the final output to the UI. Like the Chainlit example, we can run the Streamlit example using the command Streamlit run followed by the file name. As you have noticed here, the file name is streamlitagentui.py. In the terminal, we put Streamlit run streamlitagentui.py and press the return key. That launches the Streamlit interface with the hard-coded prompt. Let's remove that and add the previous one. Then we can submit it. So that displays our generated code through the Streamlit interface with explanation like the previous examples. So this is how to create a basic UI for your OpenAI agent using Streamlit. All the three UI frameworks I showed in this example, Gradio, Streamlit, and Chainlit, support advanced features like structured outputs and streaming. In future videos, I'll show advanced examples of implementing these UIs for streaming mode, structured outputs, and more.